G'day guys and welcome back to a new video here on the channel. Today it is another ranking video for the Halloween season. I'm going to be doing my updated rankings of the masks worn by Michael Myers throughout the Halloween franchise. Now, back at the end of 2021 when I did my first bunch of Halloween content on the main channel Cosplay Chris, I did a video called The Evolution of Michael Myers' Masks, and at the end I did a mini ranking. That was the last Michael Myers mask ranking I had ever done. Keep in mind, Halloween Kills was just about to come out, so this is an updated ranking because obviously we now have Halloween Ends and a few things have shifted in terms of my rankings. Now, before we get to any of that, I just want to give a very massive shout out to my good friend David, who has David Miniatures, who sent me this incredible horror themed room miniature display. How cool is this? Like, it's got everything. It's got like a poster of Halloween, Child's Play, we got Friday the 13th, Elm Street, a Freddy poster, Hellraiser, just the proper way to display how things looked in the 80s. Even down the bottom there is a little mini Michael Myers doll on the ground. It's even got the gross orange shag carpet. It's absolutely beautiful. It's one of one, and it also comes with a certificate of authenticity. So a massive shout out and thank you to Dave. This is going to be chilling here for the video. So, I have 14 masks to rank. There are many other masks you could also rank. We've got like the pink looking mask from Halloween 4. We've obviously got the CGI mask from H2O. I am going to be ranking two particular masks from H2O because we all know there were a lot of masks used for H2O. Keep in mind, this is my personal ranking, but with that being said, I'd love to hear your personal rankings in the comments section down below. So with that being said, let's get to it with number 14. Coming in at number 14 is the Halloween H2O K&B mask, or as I call it, the Alien mask. This is the most plain Jane looking Michael Myers mask in the entire franchise, in my opinion. And it was one of those things where they were halfway through filming and Jamie Lee Curtis was looking at the dailies along with Steve Miner, and she pointed out the mask and said, that does not look like Michael Myers to me. They had to scramble, do reshoots with a brand new mask, which we will get to in my rankings. But to me, this is so plain. I always love the notion of John Carpenter saying the blank face, and obviously Donald Pleasence saying blank, pale, emotionless face, but not that much. It's too blank, it's too pale, and it's too emotionless, and it just borders on extraterrestrial territory. Try saying that 20 times. Coming in at number 13 is the Halloween 4 hero mask, or as I call it, the surprised looking accountant. Or, as Frank from the Slaughtered Lamb calls it, Wayne Newton. From Halloween 2 to this is just chalk and cheese at its finest. The fact that they left the eyebrows on, the sideburns on, this was a variation of the Kirk mask that they used, but by the time they rolled film on it, it just looked worlds different to what we saw in Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. The paint is flaking and cracking off. Again, the sideburns, the Wayne Newton hair, the surprise looking eyebrows. This thing is not scary at all. If I was cornered by something looking like this in a dark alley, this would be my response. And some people love it, and I gotta respect that, but for me, the scare factor is just next to nothing with this, right up there with the K&B H2O mask. Coming in at number 12 is the Halloween Resurrection mask, worn by Brad Loree in 2002's Halloween Resurrection. Now, the first thing I think of when I look at this mask, factory made and hard airbrushing on the features, also the hairline. Now, this particular mask was made by Cinema Secrets. Not only that, they actually made some high-end replicas and limited edition replicas when the film came out. They're actually quite rare to this day. Now, like I said, going back to the whole factory-looking aesthetic of the mask, it is too harsh with the airbrushing tones in my opinion, but I will give it credit. I do love the facial features of this mask. It is quite brutish. They also put panda eyes around Brad Loree's eyes to really make the eyes dark, but you still can see his natural eyes. And again, when it comes to Michael, if you see too much of the eyes, it just gives away way too much. I mean, like subtle bits here and there, like in Halloween 2 from 1981, but in this case, Resurrection, H2O, way too much eye porn. Coming in at number 11 is Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 Michael Myers mask. Now, this is a decent interpretation of what we've had in the past while trying to do something new. And this is the first time we see a rotting mask as opposed to Halloween 2018. And now this was sculpted by Wayne Toth. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I do dig what they have done. They have got elements of the Shatner mask, but doing their own thing, beefing it up. Obviously, this is made for Tyler Mane, who is a beast of a man. I do love the way it sits on his head. I do love the bulky neck. But to me, just the features fall short a little bit of the rest of the masks in my ranking. Again, a nice attempt at something new, but also something familiar at the same time. Now, coming in at number 10 is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 mask. Now, this mask goes through a few stages throughout the film, and by the end, half the mask is essentially ripped off. Now, I do dig that interpretation and concept, but at the same time, I don't want to see Michael's face at all. That is the point of Michael Myers. It's the mystery surrounding the monster. I don't need to see anything or hear anything else about him. He just has to be. But I do dig where they're coming from, and he kind of wears it like battle armor when he's ready to kill, and he has that kind of hobo transient vibe going on throughout Halloween 2. And it is cool to see all the blood and whatnot, and just you could smell that mask through the screen. But for the most part, the concept of seeing his face, not a fan of, but at the same time, I just love how gnarly this mask is. Coming in at number 9, and this has moved up on my ranking, it's the Halloween 5 mask. I have grown to really appreciate this mask because I actually worked on a replica of this mask for a good friend of mine a couple of years ago, and doing the research, looking at all the behind the scenes photos and the history of it, I have definitely grown to like it a lot more than what I have in the past. To me, it still has that alien vibe to it, much like the K&B mask. This was actually sculpted by Greg Nicotero based on his features. So obviously we know Greg Nicotero from Walking Dead fame now, but he sculpted this mask back in the day, and it was re-sculpted, I believe, because it looked too feminine on Don Shanks' head. And they're also going to be utilizing the Halloween 4 mask, but Don Shanks is a big dude and the mask just simply would not fit his head, so they had to make a new mask from scratch. I do not like the massively low and wide neck. It just makes him look weird how it all bows out, and it kind of borders on looking like a witch at times. Like, the scare factor is sort of there. Like, it's a lot more scary than the Halloween 4 mask, put it that way. I do love the texture of it. I do like the paint job on it, the nice matte muted whites, but at the same time it kind of lingers in goofy territory. Coming in at number 8 is the Halloween H2O Winston mask. So we talked about the K&B mask. They got halfway through filming, looked at dailies and thought this mask is just not going to do. So they enlisted the help of Stan Winston of Terminator 2, Edward Scissorhands fame, to construct a brand new mask that has defined features, a different hairstyle that looks like he's put his finger in an electrical socket. To me, it definitely does look better than the K&B mask. It has some more features. I do not like how pronounced Chris Duran's eyes are in the mask and how pressed his eyes are against the actual mask. The hair is a bit goofy, but I do like the overall texture, the paint job. It's very on par with the Halloween 5 mask in terms of the paint job. There are a few more grey tones going on in that mask, but the fact that we see his eyes so close up in this film kind of ruins it for me, much like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 mask, where we see too much of Michael's face. It just gives away too much of the mystery of Michael overall, but definitely looks better than the K&B mask. Coming in at number 7, and this mask, much like the Halloween 5 mask, has grown on me a lot. The Halloween 6 mask, the Curse of Michael Myers. Now, this mask, or a variation of this mask with a different looking neck, was actually used at the beginning of Halloween H2O in the prologue. And then they switched to the K&B mask and then to the Winston mask. So you see a plethora of masks, including the CGI mask in H2O. But getting back to the Curse of Michael Myers, I love how this mask looks like it's sculpted out of rock, is now and then referred to as the Goblin mask, and I can see that with those ears and the sharp features. It's a pretty cool looking mask. The way it's lit in the film is brilliant, hidden in shadows at times, accompanied with an electrical guitar score bordering on heavy metal. It's the perfect pairing when you have all these elements together with a decent looking mask that is going back to its roots of trying to be scary but simple at the same time. Coming in at number 6 is the Halloween Ends mask, the new edition to this list now that Halloween Ends is out, and it's just been over a year since Ends was released. Like, it has no right being a year already since Halloween Ends came out. Now, I love the Christopher Nelson / Vincent Van Dyke trilogy mask from David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. I love the idea of the mask having mold on it and still carrying over from Halloween Kills with the burns, and it just looks like this thing is about to melt, fall apart, and probably smells to the nth degree. I also love the little bits of cracks and stuff like that. It looks like volcanic rock all throughout parts of the face where it's about to lift off, the paint is about to lift off the surface of the mask. It's a dirty, mean, gnarly looking mask, and again, just following that continuity from Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, right on through to Halloween Ends, when he is living in that cave, and that thing would definitely be moldy along with the coveralls and Michael himself. Coming in at number 5 is the Halloween Kills Flashback mask worn by stuntman Aaron Armstrong. Talk about having a big task and big shoes to fill to recreate the Shatner mask in a flashback form. So Christopher Nelson, Vincent Van Dyke and crew got together and started sculpting the flashback mask to try and get it as close as possible to the original Kirk style mask from '78, whilst also doing their own thing at the same time. And I think it turned out pretty damn well. Obviously, the way it's lit, the way it's shot, that flashback scene is absolutely brilliant in terms of emulating the look of '78 from the original Halloween film. It just looks absolutely incredible. Aaron moves so well as Michael Myers. He looks great in the mask, great in the coveralls, and I think they did an overall pretty damn good job in terms of trying to replicate the Kirk mask as much as possible, but at the same time, just doing their own thing at the same time. Coming in at number 4 is the Halloween 2 mask worn by Dick Warlock in 1981's Halloween 2. Of course, this is the same mask used in Halloween 1978. It's amazing what someone's head shape can do to a mask in terms of how it sits on their face and how the appearance of the mask can drastically shift. And this is a perfect example, going from Nick Castle, who had a much longer face, to Dick Warlock, who had a much wider face. I love how goblin-esque this mask looks. I love the widened eyes, just everything about it, how much more dirtier this mask is, because this mask sat under Deborah Hill's bed and she was a heavy smoker throughout the couple of years between Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. I just love how gnarly it looks. I love the hair, love everything about it. There are times where you see Dick Warlock's eyes a little too much, but that really doesn't bother me. The way it's lit, it definitely does help. It's not H2O bad in terms of seeing the actor's eyes through the mask. And a lot of people have said that Dick Warlock is quite robotic in Halloween 2. I don't really see it. I really do like the way he glides through the hospital corridors and stuff like that in the world's most quiet hospital ward. But much like the Freddy glove from part 1 and 2, it's the exact same mask from Halloween 1, but it has shifted in appearance and I absolutely love it. And I think also I have mad nostalgia goggles for this one, because every summer when I was a kid in high school, my mates and I would get together, jump in the pool, come in, we've got a chip sandwich, watching Halloween 2 in broad daylight. We can't see shit, but when Michael came on screen and it was blurry and it was like dimly lit, we're like, this is so fucking cool. Coming in at number 3 for me is the Halloween 2018 mask. This was a big deal when this film came out, guys, and it broke box office records for a horror film, and also the return of Michael Myers and his infamous mask. Now, this is supposedly carrying on from the continuity of Halloween 1978, and the mask has sat in an evidence locker since then. And the fact that it's melted away, rotted away, started to really deform, absolutely love. Now, if we look at the actual hero mask today, it is completely different to what we see on screen. And I think it was one of those things where Christopher Nelson, Vincent Van Dyke were like, you have to suspend disbelief. We kind of have to do our own thing and not make it look like how the hero looks today, because it could sometimes come off as silly. I, for one, would love to have seen how the movies would have worked out if they had have followed the same template of how the hero mask looks today and how it has deformed and rotted today. I think it still could be pretty creepy, especially by the time you get to Halloween Ends and it's covered in mold, the burns and stuff like that, but still has the distortion and deterioration from the events that happened in 1978 leading up until now, sitting in that evidence locker. And also with thanks to James Hugh Courtney, who just looks incredible in the mask, the way he moves, the way he performs, the way the mask is lit. I really do love it. It is definitely one of my favorite masks. Coming in at number 2 is the Halloween Kills mask. To me, it's right in the middle of just the perfectness between Halloween 2018 and Halloween Ends in terms of Michael's mask, or the looks of Michael's mask throughout the David Gordon Green trilogy. There's just something so gnarly and badass about half the mask is burnt, the hair is burnt, and you see remnants of the gunshot he took to the cheek, and at one point the mask is starting to split apart, but the remnants of the rubber is holding it together. It's just such a metal looking mask, and you see some of these rehaul artists, whether it be Simon Brandolino, Remzat, Seven Sin Studios, who have just done incredible interpretations of how this mask looks on screen. I love the glossiness of like the freshly charred rubber. And of course, coming in at number 1, can't go wrong with the original 1978 William Shatner Michael Myers mask from John Carpenter's Halloween. And I think also what I love about this mask is the success story behind it. Getting a Captain Kirk 1975 Don Post Star Trek mask for a couple of bucks, taking the sideburns off, winding the eyes, spray painting it white, and you have one of the most iconic horror images in movie history. And the fact that they just sprayed it a fish belly or appliance white, like Tommy Lee Wallace, who made the mask, said they did, and it's all relied on Dean Cundy's beautiful photography and the lighting to make it look shaded and stuff like that. Now, obviously, a lot of rehaul artists, Michael Myers mask artists, do go in and pre-shade everything, but that was all done through lighting in the 1978 film. It's so good. And Nick Castle's face just complements the mask so well. The stretch is otherworldly, bordering on like a piece of art that you'd see in an art gallery. So like with most things, guys, you can't go wrong with the original. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Those are my rankings of Michael Myers' masks throughout the Halloween franchise. Like I said, please let me know down below your rankings and what your favorite mask is overall. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.